If you answer, you've already lost. Every question is a test, and most people fail because they think they have to answer. They don't. The moment you respond directly, you've already surrendered the frame. You've accepted the terms. You've entered their structure. You've played by their rules. Why did you say that? Are you really going to walk away? Don't you think you're overreacting? If you respond, you validate the question. And once you validate it, you've already lost. Because here's the truth. In high-level communication, questions aren't about curiosity. They're about control. They're framed to challenge, to corner, to shift the power dynamic in their favor. And the moment you feel the urge to defend, to clarify, to explain, you're no longer leading, you're reacting. But cold communicators don't react, they redirect, they reverse, or they say nothing at all. This video is about one principle. Never answer the question they give you. Control the question you choose to respond to. Let's begin. Cold Linguistics, Volume 4, Conversational Control. Part 1, The Frame, War Inside. Every question carries a hidden structure, a frame, an implied assumption, and the moment you answer it, you accept that frame as truth. Why did you do that? You were wrong. Are you sure you're not overreacting? You're emotional and unreliable. Why didn't you tell me sooner? You're guilty and need to explain. None of that is said directly, but all of it is embedded in the tone, in the timing, in the phrasing, and once you respond directly, you validate the frame. Now you're not speaking from your center, you're speaking from their setup, reacting inside their narrative, trying to defend yourself in a structure you didn't create. And here's the danger. Once they set the frame, they lead the conversation. You're no longer thinking clearly, you're just trying to look right, to sound logical, to handle their pressure. But you're not in control anymore. They are. Because whoever controls the frame controls the rules of the game. That's why cold linguistic strategy starts with this rule. Never respond to the surface of a question. Respond to the intent behind it. Or don't respond at all, because when you break the frame, you break the game. And when they realize you won't play inside their setup, they don't know what to do next. That pause, that silence, that pivot, that's power. Part 2. The Power of Non-Answering. Most people feel pressure to respond to every question, every accusation, every challenge. They feel like silence means guilt, like pausing means weakness, like not answering means they've lost. But here's what cold communicators know. Non-answering isn't avoidance. It's dominance. Because when you choose not to answer, you're sending a signal. You don't get to direct this. You don't get to pull me into your logic. This conversation happens on my terms, or not at all. That's not silence out of fear. It's silence out of control. You're not evading. You're withholding permission to access your mind, and in a world where everyone reacts, the one who doesn't becomes the one in charge. Think about this. Why haven't you responded to my message? You say nothing. Or, I saw it. Now they're the one explaining. Now they're uncomfortable. Now they feel the pressure they tried to give you. That's the inversion. When you don't answer, you redirect the emotional burden. You make them sit in the tension. They were hoping to trap you in. And that's the power. You're not rejecting their question. You're making it irrelevant. You didn't push back. You didn't defend. You simply refused to play. And the moment they realize that, The conversation is no longer in their hands. From this point forward, you don't answer to satisfy curiosity. You don't answer to prove innocence. You don't answer to be fair. You answer only when it reinforces your frame, and if it doesn't, you don't. Part 3. The tactics. 5 cold response patterns. You don't need to attack. You don't need to defend. You just need to stop letting their question define the conversation. Here are 5 cold response patterns that shut down the frame without raising your voice. 1. The redirection. Flip the focus back to them. Why are you asking that? What's your goal with this question? Now they're the one who has to explain. You've removed the spotlight from yourself and put them under it. This stops the momentum and breaks the rhythm they thought they controlled. 2. The deflection. Deny the relevance calmly. That's not what this is really about. That question assumes something I never agreed to. You don't argue, you just reject the foundation, and without a solid foundation, their entire frame collapses. 3. The reversal. Turn the question into a mirror. Is that what you would have done? Do you think that would have changed anything? Now they're explaining their logic, not testing yours. You're no longer the one being evaluated. They are. The delay. Buy space. Break momentum. We'll revisit that later. Not the time for that. Pause. Move on. You don't ignore. You freeze the moment. You decide when or if it comes back. This signals calm control and subtle dominance. 5. The disengage. Say nothing or almost nothing. Long pause. Direct eye contact. Slight nod. Or simply, noted. This one burns the most. No emotional hook. No room to push. Just cold presence. That says you don't get access. Each of these tactics does one thing. Refuse to play their game without saying it directly. You don't reject them. You reject the frame, and you do it so cleanly that they can't even call it resistance. All they're left with is confusion, silence, and a realization. They no longer lead the conversation. You do. Part 4. How it breaks their frame. Most people ask questions, not to get information, but to gain control. A question is a move, a play for dominance, a trap designed to lead you into their structure. But when you refuse to answer directly, that structure collapses. And here's what happens next. 1. You interrupt their rhythm. They ask, expecting a reply. You pause. You redirect, you disengage. Now the rhythm breaks. Their confidence stutters. Their momentum dies. They realize this conversation won't go the way they planned. 2. You force them into the hot seat. When you reverse the frame, they become the one under pressure. They expected to observe. Now they're being observed. They expected to test you. Now they're the one explaining themselves. You've shifted the energy without raising your voice, just by not giving them what they came for. 3. You make the frame visible. When you don't answer directly, you force their intent into the open. They can't hide behind the question anymore. Now it sounds like what it really is. Manipulation, accusation, pressure, control, and most people don't like being seen that clearly. Your refusal to play exposes the game they thought they were hiding. 4. You shift from reactive to directive. Once you stop answering, you stop reacting. And when you stop reacting, you start leading. You don't move unless you choose. You don't speak unless it serves your frame. You don't respond unless it reinforces your position. They begin the conversation feeling powerful and leave feeling destabilized because you never gave them what they came for: control. That's the secret. You don't take the spotlight. You let them burn under it. And you do it without saying a single direct word. Part 5. Training conversational dominance. Conversational control isn't about sounding clever. It's about staying calm. When someone tries to pull you out of frame, you're not here to win the argument. You're here to own the space. And that starts with training your nervous system to do one thing: pause. 1. Interrupt the reflex to answer. Most people respond instantly. They feel pressure. They fill space. They obey the rhythm. You don't. You feel the question. Then stop. You ask yourself, is this a real question or a move? That pause breaks the trance. It kills the momentum. It returns control to you. 2. Practice micro-deflections. You don't need full speeches. You just need small redirects. That's not how I see it. We're not going there. Different perspective. You're asking the wrong question. Each one keeps you centered, not defensive, not reactive, just unshakable. 3. Speak with emotional flatline. No matter the topic, no matter the tone. You keep your voice calm, low, unapologetic, no rise in pitch, no urgent explanations, no nervous laughter, just still delivery, which communicates one thing: you're not negotiating. 4. Hold eye contact, then break it on your terms. Most people break eye contact when pressured. You don't. You hold it, then break it. Exactly when you choose to. It says, I see you, I'm not flinching, and now I'm done. It's non-verbal dominance, executed without a single word. 5. Devalue their questions, without saying it directly. The goal is never to fight the question. The goal is to make it irrelevant. You're asking the wrong thing. That's not worth unpacking. We're done with that part. No anger, no energy, just a cold shift. That says, this conversation is mine now. Train this daily, not in debates, but in everyday moments. Emails, texts, small talk, subtle jabs. The more you practice holding frame under pressure, the more it becomes your natural default, until one day, no matter what they ask, you're always in control. Part 6. Conclusion. The one who answers less leads more. In a world where everyone rushes to reply, you win by not answering, because the person who answers is playing defense, and the person who questions is holding the knife until you refuse to play by that rule. You paused, you redirected, you said less, or said nothing. And suddenly, the entire conversation changed. They lost their rhythm, their frame collapsed, their pressure reversed, and now they're the one trying to get you to engage. You didn't win the debate. You dismantled the dynamic. Because in high-stakes conversation, control isn't about volume. It's about who decides what gets answered. You don't owe anyone clarity on demand. You don't exist to satisfy someone's curiosity. You don't respond just because someone wants you to. From now on, you respond when it reinforces your power. You respond when it serves your intent. You respond when it's your frame, not theirs. And if none of that applies, you don't respond at all. CTA. For the next 72 hours, answer only what you choose to answer. Let questions hang. Let pressure rise. Let them feel what it's like to lose control of the conversation. Because in the world of cold linguistics, the one who answers less leads more.